and solve the great challenges of our time. We do it by embracing freedom and liberty. There may be no such thing as a free lunch, but this hour is as close as it gets. Welcome to A Free Solution.
All right. Hey, Bryan, how are you today?
Good morning. How are you doing, man?
I'm hanging in there, man. I found something, and I think you're going to find it funny. I think the people are going to find it interesting. And while we're kind of waiting for people to join in, I think I want to play this clip from none other than the illustrious Vermont representative, the famous Vermont Independent. Okay, this guy. Let's hear what he has to say to start our conversation, because it is going to be interesting for everyone. Really?
Having a tough time hearing him.
Yeah. How about people out in the audience? Can you hear him okay? Let's see what we get.
Further, according to a recent University of Chicago poll, a strong majority of Americans, and this is extremely important. I hope
Robert, can you hear Bernie Sanders? Yeah, okay. All right. Sometimes that happens when it plays through. All right, guys, I can tell you what he says. All right. He is saying, and I'm going to remove him. He's saying we're in a really, really bad spot right now. And he's talking about a USA Today poll that says the approval for Congress is 16%. That means somewhere around 82% of the people in the United States think that Congress is doing a really, really, really bad job. And this is not just up Bernie's alley, this is up my alley too, that they are corrupted, that they're being purchased by big business, that the real answer is he actually says the real answer is a multi-party system. And as a libertarian, I got to give Bernie some credit for that. Like he did run as a independent. And look, I know a lot of Bernie fans know this is to be true. Like he sold out to Hillary Clinton and he sold out to Joe Biden. And that has to make people unhappy. Like, so here he is back on the third party bandwagon, and I love it. So today, one of the things Bryan and I want to talk about early on in this show, okay, is that we have an opportunity in Senate District 51, which you guys know I ran for office. Bryan, I'm going to let you take it over from here. What do we want to do? What do we want to have people do here?
Well, we've watched libertarian candidates get crushed by the establishment.
Yeah.
Their big money, their big lawyers, their big guns are out there just knocking everybody out. The Bernie Sanders stuff, this third party, we need competition, because when you don't have competition, you have total control. And we're seeing it all over the place. Now, I have to say, they're knocking people out left and right. They're eliminating our choices. But at the same time, look at when he says it. Bernie's coming out now. I haven't heard much from Bernie in the last 2 years. It's election year, and now he's pandering to people, going, "We need competition again."
Suspicious. I get it. I get it, man.
And look at Oberrocker right now. Going back to Oberrocker's out there. He's out there going, "Hey, I'm going to get you broadband." Wait, he was going to get me broadband 2 years ago. I'm going to fix your roads. He was going to fix my roads 2 years ago. The only roads I really see in great condition are the ones leading right to his 180-person, event center, and right up his partner's driveway.
Okay, let me introduce this. Peter Oberrocker did one of the most libertarian things I've seen in a long time. And I'm going to say this as a criticism. If you're part of the system that makes the freaking rules, like, come on, man, you got to follow the rules. So go ahead, Bryan. I want you to tell the whole story, but I wanted to jump in there and be like, kind of libertarian, bro, but go ahead.
It has been so crazy the last few weeks. What's coming out? Oberrocker So for their company, I'll try to keep away from names.
Yeah. Look, yeah, people do what people do, man. It's okay. Say whatever you got to.
Their company sells the piece of property he's on for $1 to his partner. According to, I looked him up, I Dun and Braded him. According to what it looks like, Formtech is owned by his partner to begin with. So they sell it to his partner. His company sells it to his partner for $1. Oberrocker's been out there for a year now, showing everybody, taking credit for this big 180 person event center. People start asking questions about this event center, and county codes has no permits on it. No permits. So he's
didn't like county codes come after you for purportedly not having a?
Oh man, I had one of our rhinos, Dan Wilbur, tries to shut my event down at my barn, my private facility that I had permits for. He lied to codes, and I foiled it. I got it. He lied to codes. He said, I'm running an event center and I don't have permits for that. I'm not running an event center. I've never charged anybody a dime to come to our private parties. We have a right to assemble. I could have 600 people there, a day. It's my own, and I don't charge anybody for it. It's a community thing. I mean, we have the largest 4th of July party, I think, in all Otsego County. Anyway,
which I feel bad about missing this year, but the Freedom variant works so hard all week long that he just wants to relax on the weekends.
Well,
he stays in bed sometimes.
They did it when Astorino was coming, but I'm wondering if they were actually doing it because of Terry, because Terry Bernardo was coming to that event as well. And putting all the pieces together, Oberrocker didn't want anybody running against him. And Oberrocker sits on he was the chairman of our Rhino Committee, in Otsego County. When Terry's making an announcement, she's running. So I'm wondering if they were gunning for Astorino or if they were actually gunning for Terry. But they tried to shut me down.
And isn't that the amazing thing about politics, right? Like the system will support itself, right? And your buddies, you're rubbing elbows with this guy and making rules and ignoring Second Amendment petitions together. And then all of a sudden you need a little support. And before you know it, the codes guys are knocking on Bryan LoRusso's door.
Yep.
Right?
So, yeah. And I had to jump through hoops and literally explain everything. They came, they looked. The codes guys are awesome.
Yeah.
They are awesome. They're good, logical guys, and that kind of blew over. It didn't with me, because I'll tell you what, you attack me personally. I'm going to watch every move you make. I'm going to make you my hobby.
I think, I know. I love that about you, man. I think that pretty often or regularly, right? We find people behind this system that have to take actions that the system forces them to take. And these people are, in fact, decent human beings. And they, too, want a better path forward where they treat their friends and neighbors better. But because this system supports itself and because people can use the system to punish their enemies, these guys, when they get a call or a piece of paper that says you got to go investigate Bryan LoRusso, they have to go investigate Bryan LoRusso. And luckily for you, you had already crossed your I's and dotted your T's, as they say.
So, and I'll run down the list, but and so basically the foil and I foiled everything. So Wilbur literally comes after me and says, you better check out that black barn. I'm getting calls and constituents saying that it's a venue and he's running a wedding venue there, which I'm not. It was a load of crap. And long story short, that was proven false. But he's not. A few months beforehand, I have emails from this guy saying, "Hey, Mr. LoRusso, I have no jurisdiction in your area. It was on another topic. Asked me to stop emailing him. So don't email me. I have nothing to do with your jurisdiction. And then 6 months later, he's attacking me.
Oh, so Dan Wilbur says he can't help you, doesn't want to listen to you, but when it comes time to ask people to investigate you, all of a sudden he has an interest in that. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
I
And
mean, this bullshit corruption is all the way up to the federal government, goes all the way down to your local county committees. And guys, it just because it's legal doesn't mean it's moral or just or anything. So like this kind of stuff, these are the people that we have in power, man. This is it.
so recently, and I'll get off the Black Barn for now, and we'll go back to Oberrocker. Oberrocker.
Okay.
Oh, so there's just so much. I don't even know where to start.
Right.
Oberrocker's building a building that he recently pulled permits for because he got caught. Recently pulled permits for, and he's taken all the credit for it on social media, and we know it's his. I mean, don't try to tell me, don't even dare insult me that this isn't yours. You're taking credit for it. You're showing pictures. You're tied into the Forum Tech. You're the CEO. And now he's building a building, adding on to an existing building. The big question is where'd the existing building come from? Because there's nothing on the county websites about an original building. So where'd that come from? Not only that, so his partner is the state chief of staff for New York State. So he's got that salary. He's a partner. He's also the town supervisor. So he's the town supervisor. He's the state chief of staff for New York State for Oberrocker's campaign. He's his partner in business. And who are they hiring? They're hiring the town road superintendent to build the building. So if you don't see this nepotistic little web, honestly, you just gotta shut your computer off, just shut your TV off, and go back into the cave.
Just crawl back under your rock. Like if you're not going to see the obvious links and connections to this situation, like.
And the best part, all these people, none of them knew they needed a permit. No, they knew they needed a permit. This is one of those, I'm going to do what I want and ask for forgiveness later than ask for permission up front. I'm going through it. So, I bought the bank in Hartwick. It's
right.
True. I've got my FFL. I've got my import export. I just applied for my SOT stamps. Long story short, I bought the bank and I'm turning it into a gun shop. They made me go through lot line changes, engineered drawings, showed them everything on, all engineered up. I'm not changing the bank much, but I bought the property next to me. I made the property a little larger to create some parking. I have my permits, but I had to go to planning board, had to send everything 9 times to Army Corps of Engineers, DEC, Otsego. I had to do all this. So I think the rules suck. Don't get me wrong.
I'm going to talk about the rules, but I think your point here is perfectly valid. So please keep going with it. But I'll talk about the rules in a minute. Like bullshit rules.
if the rules are there, why does Oberrocker not have to follow them? Why do I have to follow him when he doesn't? What a precedent, a law-breaking precedent. This rhino who has done nothing for us. He didn't help our nurses. He didn't help our teachers. He left our kids masked. I'm rallying in the streets of Oneonta with John Sulka, and Oberrocker's nowhere to be found.
And Tim O'Connor, who was late, but I was there.
Yes, you were.
I showed up. Cody Anderson was there, right? We were there. We did the walk with you. People freaked out. Like some people freaked out. Some people just hopped in the parade with us and joined in. And that was wonderful. Like
in Cooperstown, we had the nurses leaving the building and joining our march as well.
Wonderful.
We're fighting for the freedom. I don't care. You want the jab, get it. Get 10 of them for all I care.
Yeah, but that's your business. It's freedom.
Why is the government medically raping people, and why did Oberrocker allow it to happen in his own county.
Yeah.
I got, if you want, I'll go show you the pile of petitions I have from that, from our gun rights, asking, begging, pleading to declare us a sanctuary county. No, he took the paperwork, he dumped it in the trash. The whole board, every one of them, never did a thing. We worked our ass off to get these petitions, you know, and they ignored them.
He sent it to committee, like, so that it dies a painful death.
Now his record's starting to come out. You know, a month ago they published, Mid-Hudson News published that he voted with agreeing with Hochul's bill about, you know, all of this ridiculous tyrannical gun law stuff that they're pushing. You know, and
yeah, let me talk about the rules of developing in New York State, and even, you know, let's stay on that for a second. We have, and you just have been through it, a ridiculous amount of rules that stifles our creativity, that kills. And guys, look, listen to me when I tell you this, please. They do it to keep small businesses from opening up, and then they grant money to people to open up their small businesses that ends up supporting the system because they get paid by the government to follow all these rules. And then guys like Bryan and guys like me that want to start a business, look, we're lucky to have. I have a former customer that moved to Pennsylvania, right? He led his business here. He sold all of his property. He had built some wonderful things. He had made massive investments in the community. And every single time he turned around, code enforcement was crawling up his butt. Development and planning boards were crawling up his butt. Every single time he tried to do something, and then every single time he asked for help from the town or the village, he wouldn't get it. Like, he was treated like an enemy because he was reasonably successful. That is the kind of nonsense that has to stop, because if he's successful and then smaller businesses need to serve him, guys like me get our piece of the pie, and guys like you can get your piece of pie, and your kids can get their piece of the pie. And what we've done, instead of propping up or making it possible for small business in New York State, we continuously make it harder and add hoops that small businesses have to jump through. And the taxing in New York State is astronomically high. Astronomically high.
Absurd. It's absurd. And, you know, ultimately, Oberrocker's doing stuff on his, you know, however he wants, with whoever he wants, his nepotistic little town he's got going on over there. No one knows. Planning board doesn't know about it. Their own town doesn't even know about it. Their own town doesn't even know. They just had a meeting to change the usage from agriculture to commercial after the fact, by the way. I'd like to point out, yeah, he's really for the farmers. If you look on the county website, all his properties are farm exempt, including his partner's 11 acres, that well manicured acres that I've had 3 farmers tell me they drove by, and under no circumstance are they actually producing any agriculture off of that well manicured lawn.
Well, that's conjecture, sir, and we will have none of that on this show. You only speak proof. But what you're saying is that they perhaps are taking advantage of the agricultural deduction, which, guys, if you have a little bit of land, I encourage you to take a look at. You got to raise goats or something, though. And what you're saying is perhaps no one's seen any goats.
So, no, actually, one of the farmers that wrote to me said that there's a bunch of little saplings there. And according to the ag law, they can't really claim agricultural until those saplings start to produce, whether they're, you know, whatever it is, apple trees, or, you know, they couldn't even tell what kind of tree it was. They were so small.
They have to sell something, right? You have to sell something for you to claim an agricultural exemption. If you're selling zero somethings, then you don't get an agriculture. That's my understanding.
I can tell you, this is not out of the norm, because all they're selling, all Oberrocker has been selling, is air. So he sells air.
Yeah. So here's a point that I think we need to talk about, and we can just put any county board member's name practically in there instead of Oberrocker. But what is going on with land banks, land trusts, and the county shuffling properties off before they go to public auction, okay, to friends and family. What do you got to say about that broad statement? That was total conjecture on my part.
No, it's okay. I don't know if people have seen some of the stuff I've been posting recently. Recently, an anonymous person sent us a letter. It's an email from Dan Crowell. It's gotten a lot of attention. And this email is literally, Dan Crowell was our former treasurer of Otsego County while Oberrocker was on the board. And he's literally explaining to people that now is the time. If you're interested in these properties, we have to get this taken care of before we send it to auction. We have all the statuses of all these properties. If you have any questions, we know which ones have families in it. We know which ones are abandoned. We know which ones are contaminated. And they got to take care of this by a certain date, or it's got to go to the auction block. I'm looking at this going, wait. This guy, our county, is literally negotiating people's lives away before it even goes to auction. He even goes further and says, we're not sure if people are going to pay their bills, but keep an eye on them. Keep an eye on these properties, like vultures circling a carcass.
I certainly we saw at least one instance with one of our friends where they sped up the foreclosure process because they did not like his political views. Our friend Robert Forrest, we all know this. We've had this conversation. We've never ever gotten good answers from anybody when it comes right down to it. They all pass the buck. They all step away from this issue. They all wash their hands of it. And what we want are freaking answers, guys. Like, what was going on in the county when they took Robert Forrest's property? And they did it. You and I know, Robert knows. Robert is now, like, even admitting it, right? Like, they took his property because he was a proponent of natural gas. That's it. That's what they did.
And I'm gonna let. And I have talked to Robert in the past. Hello, Robert. Good morning. Hello, Shelly.
Shelly's out there. She's great, man.
Shelly's awesome.
Ryan Bedford's out there. This is good stuff. We got to for a Sunday morning, bro. You are a draw. Look at this. We got people popping off and leaving us comments and all sorts of stuff. It's fantastic, and I'm glad a lot of people are listening. It's important that we have these conversations. Sometimes we get repetitive, but these issues are not being solved. Okay, we can point our angry fingers at, but we got to come up with ideas, and we have an idea here what we can do.
Well, in Robert Forrest's case, whether it was politically motivated because of gas drilling or whatever the case may be, the facts are the facts. Here are the four big topics that I look at. One, they quick claimed his deed real fast. Within 2 years of REM, and the law was 4. We know that. 2, they were sitting on the man's tax check.
Yeah, they were.
Right?
That's indisputed fact.
I have a copy of that canceled check sent back to him by the county. 3, we've got a former, she's passed now, Betty Ann Schwartz. We've got her on video asking the board what the hell they were doing. He was in litigation. He was fighting for his property. He was, he gave them money in escrow, and they were ignoring him. And now 3, or 4, the last piece of the puzzle, as far as I'm concerned, that should bring the New York State AG right to Otsego County and investigate every last foreclosure in the last 10 years, is a letter from the county treasurer to people saying, if you're interested in any of these properties, we'll keep you in the loop, and we've got to handle it before it gets on the foreclosure list.
It's so corrupt, man.
Yeah, I mean, you can't hide from this.
It's so corrupt.
You can't hide from it. And I don't care what conspiracy you want to throw at it. It doesn't matter. The facts are here. The facts are in front of us. We have canceled checks. We have board members on video. We have this letter. We have quit claim deeds signed by a board member. Not one of them, no matter how Robert begged and pled not to do this, not one of them ever stuck up for them. Some of them are still sitting there. All right, I'm going to go back to Terry Bernardo. Listen.
Oh, yeah. Well, let me do one more thing before we go. Peter Oberacker championed turning county property over to the land trust that is buying up everything. I was so offended that I went out and talked to him, and I said, that stuff should have went out to public auction. And look, Pete's not a nice guy, okay? Like, he's a little bit charming when you talk to him. He's kind of funny. And he was like, he acted like he understood what I was saying, and then he offered me a position on some sort of steering committee or some bullshit like that. And I'm like, oh yeah, right. Like, good. That is a good way to actually keep my mouth shut, is make me participate in some boring piece of government that I absolutely can't stand already. Like, so anyways, what we have, I ran against Peter Oberacker, his staff, like his little campaign crew, literally invalidated my freaking petitions as a libertarian because they're like, I'm scary to them. Like, relax, guys. I just want to talk about freedom and I want a little bit of a platform to do it, So they invalidated my petitions by proving that I don't know where I live. It's one of the most frustrating things about our government that they actively stifle, like they did to Larry Sharpe, like they've done to so many other people. They actively stifle other voices. And I'm going to tell you this, Brian. This is one of the things that drives me crazy. The Republican Party, the GOP, is happy with second place. They don't give a shit about freedom. They don't give a shit about you. They're happy with second place because that's still a jobs program that still gives them access to this crazy amount of real estate deals that we're talking about. And I'm going to try to be done with my rant, but we have an opportunity. Let's talk about the opportunity.
So start looking at, a couple things that have popped up recently. Start looking at your county websites. This is true. I proved it. I took 5 pieces of my real estate, went to my grievance committee, sent my lawyer to my grievance committee.
Oh, this is a good one.
There's just so much here, man.
I know.
So I catch my tax assessor running an ad for rolls and grievance, right? Law says you got to run them in a few places. I'm paraphrasing. Run them in a few places for a couple of weeks. Each one, when he's sitting with rolls and when he's sitting with grievance. All right.
Yeah.
This guy runs it one day, one newspaper for 4 towns that he's serving. I'm starting to look at things. I'm getting attacked, from whatever. I got codes up my rear. I've got different weird things going on that normally don't happen unless they come from a complaint. And I start looking. Well, I find down in town the church I purchased, which I'm turning into a homeschoolers community center, a LEA organization. That church is they got that at $260,000. I bought the post office. They got that at $157,000 value. I bought the bank. They got that at $290,000. And I look at my 2 neighbors, who are very politically motivated and leaning quite to the left. They got her commercial building at $17,000. Then I look at
whoa.
You got to hear the rest. I got my neighbor to the right. Hers is a brand new renovated building, opened up, commercially zoned and in business. I'd pay $250,000 tomorrow for it. They got her at $22,000. I go down the street in my town, right across the road from where my tax assessor sits, and nothing but board members, former board members, committee members. I've got one conservative on that street. They got every one of them at low 100s or less, except for the conservative at the street. They got him at $157,000.
What an absolute pile of bullshit.
I took
This is see, guys, this is what they do. They insulate themselves from the pain that they cause other people, and then they take care of themselves so that they eat better than you.
I
That's
took it.
what they do, guys. It's an authoritarian thing. It's not a party thing. These guys pay themselves off. And I went through it myself. I bought a piece of property. I paid $15,000 for this piece of property. I tried to get my assessment lowered from $95,000 to something at least reasonable, right? First of all, the girl, because I'm a big investor, right? I got $15,000. I find a beat up piece of property. I save and put money in this lady's pocket to get her out of a really bad situation. I pay her more than she's asking, right? And all I want is my property to be assessed fairly. 1 year, the first year she says, yes, I'll do it. I'll take a look at it. She ignores us. We start talking to her the next year. Oh, no, you missed the grievances. This is your problem. I'll see what I can do. She lowers it from $95,000 down to $57,000. And it's like, what a pile of crap. This place was worth what I paid for it. It was falling apart. I needed money to fix it up. I needed a reasonable level of taxation. It would have been, guys, affordable rental housing for someone had the government not screwed me over. Period. So I had to leave it sit, and then I eventually just sold it. That's it.
So I'm gonna go a little further here. So I
Please
said
do.
I take all these assessments. I start looking at Bliss's property. I start looking at Volantics and Brockways. I start looking at them all, and they have some wonderful deals going on for themselves. I use Bliss's property. He's got a 1 acre piece of land over in the county, and you can compare your property to anybody else's in the county as an argument.
Right.
So he's got an empty 1 acre lot over there, in West. I don't know, somewhere, a few towns over. He's got it, and they're charging him $2,000 in taxes for that 1 acre. I've got a 5 acre empty piece of land, nothing on it, just an empty, not developed, no driveway, nothing. They got me at $68,000. So, here's the end result. I sent 5 pieces of property in, not for the savings, but for the point. They lowered those 5 acre pieces of property with my lawyer and all of my comparisons. They lowered it $469,000.
Because you fought them and you pointed out what hypocrites they were.
And I said to them, listen, you want to keep me where I am, no problem. I want to see Volantic. I want to see Bliss. I want to see Brockway. I want to see them all paying what I'm paying what you're paying. That's what's happening here. Just like I got to pull permits, so does Oberrocker.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Whereas, like I said, I covered my rant on that the government deliberately stifles innovation. They deliberately chase away small businesses. They deliberately beat up on people. And then they're surprised, like, why don't we have any small businesses? So then they go out and start handing out money. I know I'm repeating myself, but it's an important point to make. Anyways, our buddy Logic out there says that he would agree. It's not about left versus right anymore. It's about authoritarianism versus liberty. It's about those that want power and control over others. Yeah, I don't know if you were in earlier. I actually was quoting Bernie Sanders. I tried to play a TikTok from him, and unfortunately the sound didn't go through. But he's back on the bandwagon of being an independent, third-party kind of guy, which I like. And look, guys, you Bernie supporters, he sold you out. He did. For the Democratic Party and for gobs of money in a couple houses. So that's it. I mean, that's the only thing I can say. Not other than what he's saying now and what he's pointing at now, that we need more third parties, that we need more representation, that we need more competition in our elected offices is incredibly important. And it should be popular. And
like I said, I absolutely agree. I'm disgusted with Lee Zeldin because I know it was his campaign that knocked Larry out.
Oh, yeah, they did.
I'm disgusted with these rhinos. Oberrocker's a rhino. Molinaro, he's a rhino. Yeah. I mean, listen, they're back. Molinaro's worried about Pat Ryan, and they're attacking Pat Ryan for kneeling with Black Lives Matter in the streets. And right to the left of Pat Ryan is Molinaro kneeling in the streets with Black Lives Matter. I think that's a crazy group. I think it's a radical group. I'm sure all groups start with good intentions. Just
I think that's something I want to talk about. Just if we're going to talk about Black Lives Matter, let's talk about how it got co-opted as a fundraising thing. Let's talk about how, yes, Black lives absolutely matter. Yes, some protests were appropriate, but yes, like there was also this level of encouraging protests and violence that from the government that they later reneged on. So like it was deliberate chaos sown by ill-informed governing. Like it was just bad. And the funds got co-opted by the Democratic Party.
Of course, the whole organization got hijacked by the Democratic Party and used as an agenda, and they fed millions and millions and millions of most likely our taxpayer dollars into that, so they can go burn our cities and prove a point. It's like this gun grab. This all started with a couple schools getting shot up, a parade getting shot up. You got to question where all those shootings went. All of a sudden, it turned into a gun grab, a political gun grab. And now, all right, the shooting's over. Those events have ended, and not one armed guard has been put in place to protect our kids. This was about the people getting shot and stopping bad guys. And instead, they're going to use it as an agenda to attack people's liberties, their freedoms. That's totally whack. It's totally crazy.
Yeah.
You can't protect my school, my children in my school from a bad guy walking in by taking my guns.
No, I know. I can't even believe that they get away with making that issue. Patty, thank you for being out there. This is going to take us down this IRS wormhole, guys, okay? The $80 billion increase in funding to the IRS. Look, guys, you clowns out there that don't realize this, the IRS already has baseline budgeting, okay? They already budget in replacing people that are moving on, okay? This $80 billion is to increase effective use of the IRS. And you know who the IRS gets effectively used against? Poor people, guys. Poor people that take a little bits and tiny bits of cash in. That's where the audits have. Small businesses get beat up by the IRS. They get destroyed by the IRS. They take everything. The IRS isn't quite as bad as the sales tax, New York State sales tax, because New York State sales tax will take everything you own and lock it in a safe and sell it and use the money for whatever they want, and then you'll still owe them that money. The IRS isn't quite that bad, but God damn it, it's pretty close. And that's a reality. So when it becomes to being poor, okay, and having a side hustle and trying to build your way out of something, the IRS is one of those things that stands in the way. It's one of those things that stands in the way.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, listen, I think my party, and you guys know I'm a really pretty conservative Republican, borderline libertarian.
I think when I talk to you, we get to points where you are incredibly libertarian, and then like a lot of guys, we fall back on what we know, right? Like we fall back on Republican Party. I've been a Republican for 20 years. There's been some good Republicans in my life. I get all of that, but at least, Brian, you can be counted on to see the corruption regardless of the color of the boot leather that these clowns are wearing, okay? Like you don't care if they have red boot leather or blue boot leather. You are not licking their boots, and you are pointing at corruption. Absolutely. No. So I respect you for that no matter what.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I do believe that it is going to be a red wave, although we all know it's going to be purple. All I got to say is they better defund the IRS the minute they take Congress back.
Okay, but that's they won't. Okay, they won't. Just like they didn't stand up for our gun rights. They didn't.
Right, and that's my point. They better take Congress back, and when they do, they better defund this bullshit. They have to. And if they don't, every Republican out there should understand you're idiots for listening to what they're saying. Because they'll, look at Oberrocker. Once again, I'm going to go back to this. He says he's a Republican. He's on the bill with a whole pile of Democrats for these battery operated cars for New York State. He says he doesn't. He voted no against the Hochul gun grab, yet he's on audio saying he agrees with the bill. You know, what is that? That's don't worry, Democrats. I'm really not a Republican, so you can vote for me.
That's authoritarian leadership, and that's the second place team still gets good jobs and money for their friends. Okay, that's what that shit is. And guys, look, green energy, I'm cool with green energy. I'm cool with all of it, but don't force me to throw away the car that I've been maintaining for 20 years to get an electric car because you think that's good for the economy and you think that serves your constituents. That's not how it works. Check it out.
No.
Let us all transition to what we think is best for us.
Shelley,
stop forcing us to do shit, you authoritarian clowns.
Shelley's right. Old school conservatives, yeah, they are libertarian.
Yes.
Honestly, my conservative friends are so much more libertarian that they don't even realize it. You know, they don't even realize I've got 85% of my values lie in libertarian values and what the party's saying.
Yeah, and then let's take a look at this classical liberal statement. That's where we get libertarians from the left who are like, look, freedom is what's important. We're talking about rights and liberties and stuff like that. And that's what is working. So check this out, Brian. I got a surprise guest out of nowhere. Hopefully she's ready. Hopefully she can hear me, and hopefully she has decent reception. But she's on a cell phone. She's probably got some words to say. Let's put her up on the screen.
There you go.
Terry Bernardo, how are
Terry
you?
Bernardo. Good morning, Terry.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Very good.
Wonderful. We can hear you pretty good, right? He's coming through pretty good.
I got 3 bars.
Nice. Very
Looks
nice.
Great. Well, I'm here.
Hey,
yeah, go ahead.
I think the people want to know where you're at this beautiful morning.
That's what I was going to say. I'm at the Unadilla Gun Show. And I got to tell you, when I got here, Sandy Ackerman, who runs it, and I had talked to her before, she walked up to me collecting the $20 from each table. She says, Terry, I'm not charging you. We're happy you're here.
Sounds like corruption to me. Just kidding.
Oswego County is so ready for better. You know, I'm going to interrupt real fast. Oberrocker's running 3 businesses. He's building his own, illegally building his own event centers, and he's a part-time representative. Constituent services is everything to us, and Terry is going to be 100% full-time fighting for our liberties. And that's all I'm going to say. Go ahead, Terry.
The district comprises 98 towns. And there's also villages and cities. And to visit all of those town boards, all the fire companies, all the EMTs, all the rod and gun clubs, go to all the county fairs, all the Eagle Scouts, acknowledge the valedictorians and salutatorians, do the ribbon cuttings, and then go to session. You can't do that part-time. And you can't hire your business partner and do this full-time. You know, the taxpayers deserve what they're getting for their money. And for $110,000 a year, they deserve a full-time representative, and I will be full-time.
I think that people are going to be excited by that. I think that that's a good thing to hear from a representative. I want to point out some specific things that libertarians are going to love about you. All right. When this latest round of garbage passed when it came to guns, one of the things that you did was hand out stickers, right? You want to talk about that?
I did. I was talking with Bryan LoRusso one night, and we were talking about what we could do about these new sensitive areas for concealed carry. This is a non-problem. You don't see in the news every night, concealed carry holder shoots up mall. These are not the people doing the issues. So Brian and I came up with the idea. I do some graphic design, made oval stickers that say CCW, and at the bottom, concealed carry welcome, and let people know about this law, because it's about education. People don't realize after September 1st, you cannot enter any place for the most part unless it says that concealed carry is welcome.
Did you find those stickers were well received by local businesses?
I believe 2,000 were made up the first round, and they went like this. Boom!
Oh, really? They went really fast.
They're asking me for them. They know about them, and they're coming up to me asking me for them.
Yeah.
Awesome.
One guy gave me $50 for 2 lawn signs and one of those stickers.
Was it in cash? Because the IRS wants to report of that transaction.
Well, I am going to report the $20 fee for this as an in-kind donation.
You do? I know. Like I said, I ran a little bit of a campaign. I wasn't very good at it. I did ask for votes as a write-in, and I got several. So like
You got
I think
several
close to
hundred.
1,000 all told. So but I get it. You got to kind of really be careful
You
with
do.
that.
Hey, Tim, this is another thing that the libertarians will absolutely love. Back when they passed the Unsafe Act, there was one sheriff in New York State who said, "I'm not going to enforce this."
We
And
do
it was
love that. We love that. Nullification.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That was Tony Desmond. He was the sheriff of Schoharie County, an honorable man, a veteran. He served, I think, for 21 years in his county, 8 of those as the county sheriff. He knew me back from the Safe Act days. I had gone up to Albany, spoke out, 13,000 people, tore up the grass. Middleburg Rod and Gun Club had me come up there. And so when I was running, I called Tony. He's come out. He took me for 5 hours at the Schoharie County Fair. He's got my lawn signs. He is a hoot and a holler to hang out with because he's not backing down. He believes what he believes, and he is not a flip-flopper.
Yeah, and didn't it kind of cost him his job? Let's be honest.
It did. He tried to make it easier for people to get pistol permits. He ended up, I believe, had to change his enrollment, and we lost a really great man there.
He's still around, but his impact has been minimized by
the
red team, I think, right? Like, didn't they kind of shit on him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love, I love the recognition by people that want to be representatives that Team Red sometimes behaves a lot like Team Blue. And how do we fix that? What do you got for me, Terry?
Say that again.
How do we fix that? Team Red, the guys that we put in power, the people that we put in power, act a little bit like Team Blue sometimes. It's like the same thing.
You need to recognize it and call them out on it. Listen, if I didn't get into this race, my opponent was a co-sponsor of a bill requiring that 100% of passenger cars sold in New York State are zero emission electric by 2035. Now, he's saying it's a clerical error, but it's been over a week since we pointed it out to him. And if he wanted his name off of the bill to have it stricken, he would get it from the Senate Journal clerk. We haven't seen this corrected. You need to call people out on these things. So if I wasn't running, this guy was just going to skate on by with that. You have to call them out. People have to step up and run against these people. It's the only way you get them out.
Yeah, it is the only way to get them out. And look, I'm going to bring up something that libertarians are very near and dear to libertarians, conservatives, and some classical liberals all believe, okay, that the government response to COVID was a pile of shit, okay, was absolute garbage, okay, where our local representatives went with the flow when they should have been standing up for our kids, our families, and our small businesses, and they failed. And so I don't care, honestly, don't care if every single one of them gets thrown out of office. Every single one of them. Period. So anyway, how's that? I every once in a while I like to rant. I hope you don't mind, but that's my rant for you right now.
So the most egregious thing that I saw that happen was the vaccine mandate. I work in county government, and I was one of the people taking reservations for people that wanted to get the shot. Then it was really hard to get in it. So they create this sense of scarcity so that people want it. And then anybody could pretty much get it because they had enough shots. Then all of a sudden, if you don't take it, you're fired. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. I mean, I don't mean to be a conspiracy theorist or anything, but didn't they write about that in the Bible, that if you don't take the mark, you can't buy or sell? I was just like, wow. I have some autoimmune diseases. The last thing I need is putting something else in my body that may stimulate my immune system. And, the doctors, my doctor flat out told me he can't not recommend it for me. That's wrong. And now that it's not a problem anymore, why have those people not been given back their jobs? If they were fired during a pandemic because they wouldn't take this miracle vaccine, there's no more pandemic now. Give them back their jobs.
All the requirements, all the restrictions. We're right back to purportedly normal. Thanks, Joe Biden.
Yeah, and don't think that that's not a coincidence. Everybody wants, or the Democrats want everybody to forget what went on so they get their votes. You know, just like Oberrocker, you know, didn't stick up for anybody, didn't stick up for our nurses, our teachers, anybody, our small businesses, but now we want your votes? Give me a break.
We have a suggestion for some other stickers for you to hand out. This is my buddy Ryan Bedford. Guys, Ryan is a proactive libertarian. He's formed his committee up in Rensselaer County. He's doing a lot of good work. He wants you to hand out taxation as theft stickers with your CCW stickers. What do you think?
There's this person in my life that really gave me a hard time about not taking the shot. And the person is a really good friend. And it reminds me, his son believes that taxation is theft.
Well, he's right. Look, it is theft. It's coercion. It's theft. There's ways to voluntarily fund things. Our buddy Larry Sharp has spent hours and hours and hours discussing the possibility of voluntarily funding things like roads and bridges and infrastructure. I want also libertarians to know, you and I had a conversation the other night. You found at least one of Larry's policies pretty impressive, right? Like the money following the kids when it comes to schooling is an idea whose time has come. Period. Like this forcing kids, especially in urban areas, guys, forcing kids to go to a school that's underperforming because they need X amount of dollars. Whereas if we introduce a little bit of competition, a little bit of accountability, we would have better schools. What you want to talk about that? Like,
I didn't even know it was one of Larry Sharp's platforms. I came to that on my own. It was a suggestion from somebody who lives in my district. I like to take a lot of input from people. And she says, Terry, you know, money follows the child. And the things that are going on in our schools right now, parents are just desperate. I mean, not even in the schools, too. I have another friend who's very upset that her daughter, once she reached a certain age, that she would no longer have access to her medical records. She's like, I gave birth to this. This is my baby. And you're telling me that, you know, you can do things to her and I don't have access to those medical records. I heard from so many parents, you know, I'm a school teacher, but I'm homeschooling my own child. What does that tell you when a school teacher who is there says, I'm not sending my child there?
There's a big movement to work with people that want to homeschool, but there's a certain reality to like my kids are of an age, like if I tried to homeschool them now, they would probably burn my house to the ground. They want nothing to do with it. They want to go spend time with their friends at school. And my boy is like into sports, right? So he wants to be playing sports. And I think there's another one that we should talk about. Like, if we're going to homeschool our kids, aren't people still paying taxes? Shouldn't those kids be able to play sports? Go sign up for a sports team with the regular public school? I don't think that should be a problem. What do you think about that?
I don't think so. It's no different than summer youth programs, other things that our youth bureaus do with our children. Let's just turn this thing around and let's not tie one thing to another. That's no different than putting policy into a budget. You know, the budget that the state passes should be about appropriating money, not about setting policies so that you can get the votes because legislators feel like they have to vote for that budget. It's commingling things that do not have to be commingled.
That's how they shit on the Libertarian Party. They put it in a budget and they changed our ballot access thresholds by putting it in a freaking budget. I'm with you. That is absolutely garbage. Like, it's garbage. Yeah, even joining a band, a field trip, like, they're still paying property taxes. If they're paying rent, they're paying property taxes. If they own a piece of property, they're paying property taxes. Homeschool kids should be afforded the things that they want to take from school. Like that's at least about freedom a little bit, man. Like we got to be better.
All children and their parents should have the say, and they obviously are sending their money to the government school districts. Why can't they choose from homeschooling to Catholic schooling to private schooling to Christian schooling? All right, these kids in the government school are walking out indoctrinated and they can't even read.
I know, I get it. Yeah.
be disclosure of what's going to be in these courses. I have one parent that's looking at the IEP, the individualized education programs, usually used for special needs child, to try to keep her son out of a class that she feels is not in line with her values or her beliefs at all.
We have bastardized respect for parents, okay, because of centralized power centralizes power. It's like, well, it's an offshoot of everything that we've been talking about, that the system supports the system. I used to go in and occasionally discuss issues with the last superintendent at my local school, and he'd always fall back on this comment of, well, that's the law, Tim, and so that's the way we've got to do it. And I'll be like, you're not a freaking lawyer, and I'm not a lawyer. I'm saying that what I'm saying makes sense, and you're just telling me, dismissing me by telling me it's not, it's against the law. And he did some crap that was completely wrong, whether it was legally correct or not. It was really bad. And so I think that we've disempowered human beings and their rights to their kids by this centralized planning of handing out money from the state, and you have to cooperate with all the rules. Like, locally fun, grants follow kids, competition is good, and accountability is even better.
It is. It is. The accountability will come when people choose with their pocketbooks and where they send their child.
Yeah, absolutely. And that we can disempower them by increasing homeschooling. I get that. I'm just saying for an attractive issue, okay, because this is something we're experimenting in it with the Libertarian Party. We want to support homeschooling. But I'm just saying that we're not going to reach as many people as we could, as the grants following the kids could. I think, because homeschooling is tenuous. It almost requires like a head of household making all the money, and a secondary person in the household running the schooling system. And maybe there's other ways that I am unaware of.
I want to pop in here.
Yeah.
You know, during this whole fiasco and all these tyrannical mandates, you know, Larry Sharp actually saying the money should follow the child. We bought a church in Hartwick, the Methodist Church. We converted it. It is now going to be a homeschooling community center where moms and dads can bring their children to learn with other children. So we've taken the isolation out of homeschooling. We've allowed moms and dads to work together, just like you were just mentioning, you know, in an organized way. We kept a church religious because it is a Leah Loving Education at Home group, which is a non-denominational Christian group. We've kept a little God in our children's lives, you know, in their education. And let's face it, everything is education. We have musicians, you know, offering to teach musical. We have programs for Rosetta Stone for second languages. It is just about to open up. We're struggling, you know, with all of the same things everybody else is, and that is, you know, delays in getting materials and equipment, and you know, manpower itself. But it's a. I think it's going to really take off. Really take off. We are going to fall under the 5013C. A matter of fact, we just got our paperwork the other day. And it's going to be, I bet you we got 50 kids in our right immediate area.
Can I come up and do a libertarian economics like little pod for them?
Absolutely.
To give them this test, and I'll fail them all so that they. No, I'm just kidding. It would be fun. I might be able to help with that.
You know what? We're going to be able to teach kids everything from, you know, how to balance checkbooks that they don't know even what that looks like, to you know, farmer market stuff. All of this education. And if the money follows the child, this can be possible in every community across America.
I think it's a great idea. And I have some friends out in Wayne County that are working on it. I think homeschooling is a good way to disempower. They lose some grant money when we do that. Oh, we lost Terry, but guys, that's okay. I think she did a great job for us, and we very much appreciate her popping in. And look at what Ryan Bedford says. And this story is probably not as unusual as we would like it to be. His daughter in kindergarten got in trouble for saying shoot during a rock, paper, scissors thing. Her last day ever, yanked her right out of school. I get it, man. I really do get it. I think it's it. So I don't want to make excuse. My kid's 16. I ain't taking him. He has no desire to be homeschooled. That's for sure. Robert Forrest wants to come up and help Terry out at the Delaware County Fair. So you got to find Brian, and you probably already are, but you got to find a way to meet like the band and the things. I think you're probably going to cover that with your homeschooling plan, right? Sports, plays,
So
things
we are
like that.
absolutely. We have musicians that are volunteering to give lessons. We have our pastor in town from the Baptist church. He already has for over a decade soccer programs that go around and they have soccer pods just for homeschooling. I mean, soccer teams all over the county.
Oh, that's cool. All right, so there is an answer to that stuff.
There is already answers to all of this. What we're going to do is we're going to bring a community together to work together. And honestly, we've all had enough of the government. I pulled my last 3 out. We've had nothing but problems with the government institutes. And now with all these mandates and all, it's time. And conservatives and libertarians are all on the same page. Old school Republicans, which I am. We're on the same page.
My friend Patty here is a former Bernie bro, right? She loves Robert Forrest. She loved his story. She seems to be appreciating your story. I don't think that we as a suggestion, right? When we communicate, we want to communicate from where we're at, right? Like I used to be a conservative and I somehow ended up as a libertarian. You're a conservative that's leaning libertarian. But there's this whole area of agreement where the government screws shit up and we need better solutions that people can afford, right? That it's no longer party politics. These labels, these identifiers, it's a pile of shit and they use it to manipulate us. What do you think?
Let's face it, the government has managed to remove mom or dad from the home, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Well, when I was a kid, mom was home, dad was working. And taxes and taxes and taxes. They forced mom and dad out the door in 2 to 3 jobs just to keep up with the inflation, the taxes, the bills, everything. And they took our children. They brought them to it. They consolidated the schools to one place because it's easier to warp 5 towns worth of children in one location than keep your own individual schools. And they indoctrinated the crap out of them. And today we've got our children thinking about stuff that was never a topic, never an issue, and doesn't benefit them in any way. These radical agendas, these government mind control crap. And they can't add, they can't subtract, they don't know how to turn a screw, they don't know how to balance a checkbook. And then we send them off to $100,000 a year school so they can play beer pong.
I get it, right? And look, that's a system that supports a system. Our current public school education system says, go to college, you'll have a better life. Don't care what you like, don't care what you want to know about, just go to college, your life will be better. And it's proving itself to be an inaccuracy. Okay,
it is an inaccuracy. All I know is these lawyers and these politicians and all of these, they got to take a dump too. And without a plumber, you ain't going. Go out to your outhouse. Without an electrician, you ain't turning your lights on.
Yeah,
that's all there is to it. Votex and homeschooling, honestly, is the way to a libertarian conservative life.
Okay, so I think we're coming up on and thank you. Like you're really good at this, okay, where we all kind of find these issues that are important. Corruption is an important issue, okay? Taxation is an important issue. Freedom to participate in your kids' education is an important issue, okay? And you're spot on. But we haven't made our specific ask for this show, okay? One of our goals of this show, okay, is to get people to take a hard look. If you're a registered Republican, because God forbid, like if you're a registered Republican and you've never voted in a primary before, August 23rd, and you're in Senate District 51, August 23rd is an opportunity for you to strike a blow for freedom. Terry is talking to guys like me and Brian and Cody Anderson, and she's at a gun show today, and she's talking to people who want freedom. And so what you got to do, guys, what you have to do is take the time either between now and Thursday, August 23rd, right? It starts soon, right? You can start
Early voting. Check out your county websites. Early voting starts this week. If you know you're going to be away on the 23rd, get to your polls. Get that word out. And to our libertarian friends, who we all know Republicans, I know libertarians, they know me. Get to them. Let them know we do have someone fighting. We do have a full-time representative that's ready to fight for us. And let's get the vote out. We got to get rid of Oberrocker. Certainly in District 51, and you've got an Oberrocker in every one of your districts. I don't care where you are.
Yeah, man. I've always been the anti-incumbent guy, okay? Like, it's time to send them all home every single chance we get. Even my Democrat friends, if you have an alternative to the incumbent, get your butt up and go vote against that incumbent. These guys are clowns. They don't give a shit about you. They don't give a shit about anything except raising your taxes and taking more power to the state, because that's what they've been trained to do. And that they honestly think they're doing the right thing. They're not. Okay, it's New York State needs more freedom. That's a reality. I do want to talk about this. See, this is the system breaking families right here. Okay, like, your granddaughter wants to spend time with her dad and her mom, and the school district steps in, ruins that crap. Centralized planning is a bunch of garbage. We've got to fix it. It's like communism, okay? Like, it doesn't really work unless it's individualized agreements between people. And when we give power to a state, that's what the state does. They make rules that screw everybody over equally. Thank you.
Yeah.
So look, guys, I have a blast talking with Brian. We run that risk of going so sideways that we didn't terrify everybody. So we got to be careful. And the longer we go, the more likely that's going to happen. So we've been going about an hour, and it's been a great show. One of my most fun shows ever. So Brian, I got to thank you for participating today, for exposing corruption, having a solution, and being really a proactive member of your community, man. You got anything you want to say?
Well, I'd like to thank everybody that tuned in, and if you could share this and get our word out, get our word out. Get your word out. Get your freedom back. We have to fight for it. Fighting for it means knowing our candidates. Looking at these swamp creatures that are breaking the law for themselves, yet demanding you uphold it. They have to go. We have to take it back. And honestly, our little one win at a time. Terry Bernardo for District 51, and let's keep up the good fight.
Yeah, look, share it around Oneonta, share it around Ulster County. These are big population centers that can help her get on the ballot and strike a blow for freedom. All right, like her and I talked. We didn't agree on everything, but I don't care. We were at least 60%, maybe 70%. So like, freedom isn't free. It takes a little bit of work, guys. So let's do it.
All I gotta say is we are politicians' term limits, and if we believe in term limits, we do that.
Yeah.
And if you don't go, don't blame the politician for what they're ramming down your throat. We have to fix this.
We are the power. We are, guys. We are, and we have to actualize ourselves in this. Okay, that's why I even though I love to recharge my batteries all weekend long, that's why this was important. It's timely. Perhaps Brian and I'll do another one next week. Maybe Terry and I will do one. But the big issue is keep watching, keep listening, keep moving, guys. We're going to make a better place for our kids, for ourselves, and that's a reality. All right, man. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. Thank you all. Have a great day.